You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
So excited for you to be joining me this weekend with these Cabral House Calls, where we're going to be answering our community's questions that come in each and every week. And we have so many that we have to look forward to. So I'm going to be going through those pretty succinctly today. But what I wanted to do as well is just let you know that my goal with the Cabral House Calls on these weekend calls that I do is to be able to give you hopefully a little bit of insight on what we talk about a lot of times in our Mindset and Motivation Mondays, is to be able to know where to take that first step, to allow you to use any failures that you may have had in the past as teaching points, as data points, rather than as setbacks, right? So if we can learn from our failures, if we can learn from our mistakes, it allows us then to not make those same mistakes and to move forward in our life. So what I want you to do is always understand that wherever you're at right now, it can and will get better. It truly will. Even if you're in a great place, that's absolutely fantastic. I'm telling you right now, I believe that you'll be able to take your life to even a higher level than you're at right now. So excited as always to be able to get into your questions. And without further ado, we'll get right into it. First question is from Eliana. Eliana is asking, "Hi, I'm addicted to your podcast. They have taught me so much. My question today is about the timing of carbs. It makes sense to me that with my goal of getting lean, it would be best to eat my carbs earlier in the day and none at night. I heard your podcast about meal timing, and I do eat liquid breakfast and have begun to have carbs at lunch. I began cutting carbs out of my dinner and mostly have greens and fish, sometimes lentil soup. I eat very healthy diet, Mediterranean practice. I do sometimes have a snack after dinner, which is usually a rice cake with 2 tablespoons of peanut butter or something with dark chocolate. Do you agree with cutting out these carbs at night? And do you have any other ideas for me to get lean, as I already eat well and exercise, lift frequently 3 to 4 times a week, and throw in cardio around that? Thanks." All right, Eliana, absolutely. I have a really quick and easy answer for you. Cut out those rice cakes and peanut butter before bed. Cut it out. Absolutely none of that. The best thing you can do is to eat lighter at night. So by you backloading the end of your day, I don't care if it's carbs or not, by backloading the end of your day with more calories, when your body's going to be more sedentary, more at rest, and it actually it can't have all that peanut butter and dark chocolate and heavy fats in your stomach at night when you're trying to get all of that food out of your stomach so that you can go to sleep, that you can then burn body fat while you're sleeping, that you can work on detoxification. That's my first step. Let's not touch the carbs. Let's just have dinner with your greens and your protein, your healthy fats. You're doing great. Do not do that peanut butter and rice cakes and dark chocolate. Do that once a week as a treat, and you'll look forward to it more. Buy yourself a really nice bar of dark chocolate. A high percentage of real cacao bean. Don't get any of the sugar alcohols in there, any of that. Get a nice, really good clean. I'll give some recommendations on an upcoming Friday review of some of my favorite dark chocolates. So check that out. Now, after you get rid of your after dinner snack, what I would do there is then have your carbs more around your workout so that you'll be able to utilize them to the best of your ability. When I talk about carbs, I'm never talking about vegetables, by the way. You can eat vegetables at every meal, and you can really enjoy as many vegetables as you would like. What I'm talking about are root vegetables like starches, the sweet potatoes, the yams, the yucca, or the rice, the oatmeal, and even fruit. So what I would do is you could certainly have them for breakfast, but then you'll have them post-workout. Not before your workout, but post-workout. That might be a post-workout lunch, or it might even be your dinner. And the way that we can do that is then we can say, okay, the body's naturally looking for carbs after your workout so that it can replenish its glycogen stores. By the way, everyone, it's going to do that anyway. All this stuff about totally cutting out carbs in the short term, absolutely fine. In the long term, doesn't make sense because your body's going to replace those glycogen stores. It is. So it's going to do that with protein anyway. So just keep that in mind. Through a process called gluconeogenesis, your body will convert protein, if it needs to, into a glycogen-based substrate, which your body can then use for that fuel source. So might as well just give it like 20 to 40 carbs post-workout. And it doesn't have to be right away. You can wait an hour after your workout so you keep burning body fat. And then put the carbs in there. And then, of course, you can do your protein and all that great stuff. So, Eliana, that is your answer. And I would love to hear your success story around that. Okay, Julie's up next. Julie's asking, and it's a long question, so I'm not going to read the whole thing because that would be our entire show. All kidding aside, Julie, I've read your question. I do want to ad-lib it for everybody. And then, of course, you want to read Julie's whole question, go to stephencabral.com/813. You can read the question in its entirety, and you'll get all of the links to today's recommendations right on that show notes page. So Julie's writing in, hi, Dr. Cabral. Some years back, I was diagnosed with PCOS, but no insulin resistance. After coming off the pill due to bad acne when I was 15, doctor put me on the pill again. I stopped taking the pill 3 years ago. I have already been very slim, but 2 years ago, I started putting fat on my legs and cellulite. My skin has never been really clear. Acne around the cheekbones, upper back, and shoulders. I've also noticed increased hair growth. I've been working with a naturopath. My cycle ranges from 31 to 61 days. I've been trying to heal the gut with dieting, but have been having awful histamine reactions. Last August, tried to heal the gut. I'm not going to name the program that you're doing because you obviously did not get results on it, so I don't want to disparage that program. So still working out, muscular fatigue, try to increase the carb a little bit, cut back on the workouts, trying to do some de-stressing, feel better from the increased carb, have a lot more energy. My muscle fatigue is now completely gone. Started to incorporate some walks and some runs, doing a little bit more rhodiola. I always get tridosha when you're trying to figure out your body type. A lot of people do because you should never do your own body type. You can never guess your own body type. You have to have someone else do it. I just want to throw that in there. Intensive hormone. I did an ACTH stim test, slightly elevated at 1.38. All right, here's what's going on. Julie, you are suffering from a lot of what other people are suffering from, and it is most likely called HPA axis dysfunction. So your body, so stressed out for a longer period of time, is not able to properly balance the stress hormones. So the stress hormones are essentially, they're called aldosterone, and they're called cortisol, along with norepinephrine. And then we can look at maybe one of the neurotransmitters called dopamine. So these are all kind of go, fight or flight based neurotransmitters. And what happens is, under stress in acute base phase, your body will also ramp up testosterone, and it will ramp up DHEA as well. What happens is it drops progesterone. So it gets you, so you have your alpha hormones elevated, right? Because you didn't have the blood sugar issues. You may now because of years of going through this, but it ramps up all of the alpha hormones like testosterone and DHEA, which is the precursor to testosterone. And it ramps up cortisol and norepinephrine and aldosterone. So it raises blood pressure. And it floods your body with all these chemicals, right? And it floods your blood with these chemicals. But what can happen is a lot of those are androgens, such as the testosterone. That causes the acne, and it also causes an imbalance with estrogen to progesterone because progesterone starts to drop because your body can't do everything at once. So it actually will use estrogen to ramp up not only cortisol, but a lot of people don't know this. It can actually ramp up testosterone as well because it can be converted to a substrate of progesterone called 17-hydroxyprogesterone, which can actually then be converted to testosterone. So it can kind of switch pathways. And this is one of the reasons for PCOS. It's one of the reasons for acne, especially like you named on the cheekbones, jaw, as well as the back and neck. I, for one, would absolutely look at also gut dysfunction. I would look at an organic acids test with your naturopath, and I would have your naturopath run a stool test as well. You're having histamine-based reactions. Of course, that can be part of the stress-based reaction. However, and it's a big however, most likely your gut's no longer in good working order or the best working order it can be. So you're not producing as much of that enzyme, diamine oxidase, to be able to degrade histamines, right? And so that's what I would look at. And what I would do is kind of calm the body down. You've already seen it. You're already on the path to success. I was going to tell you to do all the things that you already named. Increase your carbs to cut cortisol. I would start to do more of the detoxification, like our Dr. Cabral detox. I would do that for 21 days. I would begin to do more yoga and hatha yoga rather than workouts that are really going to ramp you and excite the body. Just for now, this isn't forever. I would do more Epsom salt baths. I might do some coffee enemas, or at least I would do saunas to rid your body of a lot of this bacteria and overgrowth as well, if it is there. And I would look deeper into that sympathetic nervous system dominance and really try to calm the body down, get it back into a healing state, a parasympathetic state. That is how you will get your body back on track. I hope that helps, Julie, and I look forward to hearing a nice, positive success story in the future from you. Best of luck, and I know that you will achieve that. Jocelyn's up next. Jocelyn writes in, hello, I recently heard you on a podcast in what you practice. I'm 25 years old, suffer from the effects of a diagnosis called achalasia. I have frequent heartburn and stomach inflammation. I've suffered from many cases and I'm hoping for help because my doctors don't know any of the root causes. How can I set up a consultation with you? All right, Jocelyn, you can always email support@stephencabral.com, and that's how you'll be able to set up a consultation. But just keep in mind, you can also work with one of my health coaches as well. It doesn't have to be with me, just because I'm booking a couple, 2 months out or so, and you can get help right away by working with some of my health practitioners and my health coaches who are amazing and obviously trained by myself, and then I read all of the lab tests that they may recommend. I've worked with many people in my practice with achalasia, and we help all of them. And the reason we do that is because achalasia is a severe symptom, but that's all it is a symptom of sympathetic nervous system dominance. It's a symptom of essentially high ramped up fight or flight and coming out as anxiety that's manifesting itself as achalasia, dryness in the throat, choking in the throat, inability to swallow. Sometimes you can't even swallow food. And again, as a naturopath, as an integrative practitioner, I think about, that peristaltic movement, you don't think about that. Like, you're not a seagull. You don't keep swallowing. You swallow once, and then your esophagus, your body takes care of the rest. The same motion happens with the intestines as well. And when you're under stress and not in that parasympathetic, it can manifest itself as this. Not in everyone, of course. This is where genetics matter, right? But what happens is, like, your genetics don't really matter if we would fix that underlying root cause, which right now is that high sympathetic nervous system dominance. So if you work with one of my health coaches, they're going to have you run a hair tissue mineral analysis. They're going to have you run a thyroid hormone adrenal test. Those would be the two most important ones to start with. And then we'll get you on all of the different protocols to help with those specific things. So hopefully that gets you started on the right path. And I know that you'll be able to overcome this as well. So good luck to you. And again, you'll definitely achieve your goals. Jen's up next. Jen's saying, "Hi, Dr. Cabral. I have 3 questions today." Okay, Jen. So 3 questions we're going to go over. You've written, "I've gotten into my 40s. I've noticed my eyelashes and eyebrows have gotten lighter and they have a hard time growing in." Let's see what else she says. "They grow incredibly slow. Do you know why this is and what I can do to grow out my hair faster as well as my eyelashes and eyebrows?" All right, we'll take one at a time. So Jen, I did a show on this called the 10 Signs of an Upcoming Disease. And when your eyelashes and eyebrows do not grow in as fast, it can be more of a catabolic based effect as well as a lowering of the thyroid. Now, again, they go hand in hand. At first, it's a catabolism. It's the body breaking down its own tissue, eyelashes, hair, being a protein. It can certainly use that as needed. And when you're in a catabolic state, body's not building up enough. And then also as in that low thyroid state, that low metabolic state, you can check that out as well. Simple, you're going to run a thyroid hormone adrenal lab. I will link that up in the show notes today. Go to stephencabral.com/813, and I will link up the thyroid hormone adrenal. And most likely, again, I can't diagnose. I'm not giving medical recommendations. I'm not doing that. That's not what the house calls are all about. But this lab test will give you the answer as to that, because that's the main reason. And again, check out that show I did called The 10 Signs of an Upcoming Disease. That was a very, very popular show voted on by all of our listeners. So hopefully you check that out. All right, let's go into question number 2. I have to do a round of antibiotics. Is there a protocol for ensuring I don't get candida, UTI? Is there a natural antibiotic that I can take instead of antibiotics for sinus infections such as silver? Okay, so you've heard me talk about this before in a previous Cabral concept. Again, you have to do whatever is best for your comfort level. I've gotten many sinus infections over the past, let's say 10 years, and I haven't used an antibiotic since 2007, I believe. And I've never used an antibiotic, okay? So what do I use? Well, I use our ENT protocol, and that's at stephencabral.com/store. Why don't I put that in my notes? ENT protocol to link up. And then, of course, I use the adult immune protocol as well. So the natural antibiotic that I use is called Maximum GSE. It's citricidal drops. Regular GSE drops do not work. It has to contain the citricidal, which is a very, very strong, keep using the word substrate today, but that's what it is. It's an extract substrate of grapefruit seed extract. 18 clinical studies as an antifungal, 23 clinical studies as an antibacterial, even kills things such as Clostridium difficile. It's very powerful. Okay, so that's what I do. And then Nutribiotic makes a GSE nasal spray, so I use that as well. I use a neti pot. I use high dosage vitamin C. All of those things are in our adult immune protocol, all right? So why don't I link up adult immune protocol as well? So that's what I do. And if you have to use antibiotics, what do I do? Well, I have people take 8 to 12 weeks of the Clean Gut Probiotic. I will put that in my notes as well, Clean Gut Probiotic. And I have them do the Healthy Gut Support to reseal up that gut wall. So the Clean Gut Probiotic is not your average probiotic. You can't just go to CVS or Whole Foods and pick up any probiotic. You need one that has the Saccharomyces boulardii in there. It's going to be the only thing that helps to not allow for the candida overgrowth. So we recommend a Clean Gut Probiotic, one upon waking and one before bed. And then you take the Healthy Gut Support. You do 1 scoop a morning in your smoothie. People love it. It's delicious. Sometimes they just mix it with water. So that's what I would do. Number 3, can you recommend a protocol or supplements for improving my memory? As I've noticed lately that I have a hard time remembering short term. Sometimes I think it's due to stress or overwhelm, but I'd like to know what you recommend to improve. P.S. Please tell me when your new book is coming out. Thank you for all you do, Jen. All right, Jen, I always give the bad news first. The bad news is, unfortunately, I'm not able to get to everyone's questions on the house calls for like 6 weeks later now. And that's why I always recommend go to cabralsupportgroup.com. That is our free Facebook group, cabralsupportgroup.com. It'll link you right there. You can get your questions answered on a daily basis. I pop in there a couple times a week. I read everyone's question and I comment on a bunch of questions as well. But my health coaches are in there. They're answering questions. So, and the book's out. It's called The Rain Barrel Effect. We will certainly link that up today in the show notes as well. But it's right on Amazon. You just type in The Rain Barrel Effect. I'm so happy that people are enjoying it. We hit number 1 for the past 3 weeks. It's been out 3 weeks now in the under medical books and toxicology. So pretty amazing, and just so happy to be able to get that book out now to people, because that is it. That's the book of how people gain weight, how they get unwell, and why they lose energy and feel like blah as they age. And that's the first half of the book. And the second half of the book is how do you reverse that? How do you turn it around? And that's exactly what I do in my practice. So really excited for that. In terms of memory, you're absolutely right. So stress will start to decrease memory, but I also did a bunch of shows on how to prevent Alzheimer's. The same thing with memory. So what you're going to do is decrease inflammation, decrease cortisol. You're going to get the sleep, the lifestyle. Literally, it's all laid out in my book called The Rain Barrel Effect. So that is exactly what you want to do. Now, if you really want some supplements to help with memory, is you'll calm the sympathetic nervous system. So you'll do something like our full spectrum magnesium, and you'll also do a product called Adrenal Soothe. You can just do simply, if it's just for long-term usage, you can just do 1 with each meal, or even just 2 at dinner would work great. All right, Josh is up next. Josh is writing in, "Hi, Dr. Cabral. I was diagnosed with Rocky Mountain spotted fever in 2015. I took doxycycline and was later cleared of any other co-infections. But since then, my health has not gone back to where it was. I suffered from fatigue, weak and shaky muscles, tremors, poor blood work. Any suggestions for all you do?" All right, Josh, sorry to hear about that. And, when you take doxycycline or you take other forms of antibiotics, especially the tetracycline varieties, which are so strong in the body, meaning that they do wipe out a lot of that good gut bacteria, but they're also being shown now. And that's why it's really hard for me to, talk about antibiotics, even with Lyme disease. And that's because it just wipes out a lot of the bacteria in the body, and that includes the mitochondria. So this is not uncommon. Unfortunately, it is not uncommon with high dose or very strong antibiotics. Certainly led to where I was, right? I took 3 years of amoxicillin, so I know where you're coming from. And I ended up with myalgic encephalomyelitis, which might be a touch of what you're dealing with right now. So the goal is actually to rebuild the gut. Believe it or not, you actually rebuild your gut so you better absorb your nutrients, such as your B vitamins, your glutamine, your zinc, your calcium, your magnesium, your sodium, your potassium, all the things that give your body energy, and to rebuild those mitochondria. And so what you want to do is run an organic acids test, potentially even a stool test. And the reason I say that is you want to look at what your gut is doing right now, and that you don't have SIBO or you don't have candida overgrowth, because with those types of antibiotics, it could be highly likely you even have H. pylori as well, or C. diff. You need to clear that up, because if not, your immune system's always going to be on. It's always going to be attacking these things, and that's going to exhaust your body. That's the place to start. After that, if you're open to it, I would run an adrenal hormone test to look at what your hormone levels are and if your cortisol levels are depleted or not. I'm telling you, you can put yourself back together. I certainly have helped others, and eventually I got the help that I needed as well when I was younger. So hopefully I'm able to pay it forward there. That's exactly what I would do, and that is most likely what you are suffering from. Okay, Jody's up next. Jody's asking, I'm 20 years old. I wasn't having menstrual cycles for 4 to 5 years since 2013. So many possible causes. Rapid weight loss. I dropped 2 stone in my final year at university. Started exercising heavily. Became anorexic and choosing only foods, superfoods. Tried to get my cycle back with a little bit of weight gain, but had no luck. Doctors told me I might be suffering with infertility in the long run and should consider trying to have a baby if this is something that I want. I was terrified of being infertile, so I followed their advice and opted to try fertility treatment to fall pregnant. In August, I fell pregnant. My pregnancy was okay. I've had some skin issues, rashes, and spots on my face and legs, water retention, brain fog, extremely uncomfortable stomach issues, gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea. I know I cannot do much in terms of rebalancing, detoxifying during pregnancy, but in 2 months' time, when my baby is here, I'd love to fix my health once and for all. I know this is a silly question, but where should I start and what can I do now to help reduce the symptoms? And this is Jody writing in from the UK. Okay. So Jody, right, there's a lot you can do, and don't let anyone ever discourage you saying that your long-term health could be compromised. I just don't believe that. And the reason I don't believe it is because it's not true. You can make it your truth, meaning that if you believe it, well, then it will become true for you for sure, because you will just go down that path. But the truth is this, that your body and mind are a system of chemical-based interactions. Now, that's not saying that your body is this chemical-only being. No, it's certainly emotional and chemical-based, but all of these things are run on, why don't I use the word one more time, substrates, such as amino acids and electrolytes and hormones and all these things that make up the body for what they are, the vitamins and the minerals. So here's what we need to do. We need to find out, what are you deficient in? And you certainly could be very deficient in vitamins and minerals. So I'd run a hair tissue mineral analysis to find out mineral deficiency as well as potential heavy metals. You can run that right now if you'd like. And I would run the organic acids test to find out your vitamin deficiencies, to find out your overall gut function. Those are the first two labs that I would choose for you. And then maybe I would wait 3 to 4 months after having your baby to then check your hormones, because they're not going to be the same while you're pregnant, of course, right? So, and you might even wait a little longer depending on if, how long you'll be nursing and to what degree. So that's where I would start. And then if you say, okay, well, I can't, although we can ship labs right to you in the UK, we ship labs to the UK. And then of course you get my recommendations, and then you get a health coaching call. And if you run 2 labs at the same time, you actually get upgraded from a 30-minute health coaching call to a 60-minute health coaching call, which is kind of nice. So that's that. Now, if you want just to do it through nutrition alone, then you don't get the exact answers. That's why, of course, I love lab testing. That's what helped me, and that's what helps many, many people. But you could also just start with the daily nutritional support smoothie. So you can do that while pregnant. You can do it while nursing. That's why we reformulated it about 2 years ago to be able to use it for kids. And obviously, they're going to just do a half a scoop. But you could do 2 full scoops, and you can make it a smoothie every morning. And you can add some wild berries, some blueberries or raspberries. It's just a really good nutrition. Maybe add our daily fruit and vegetable blend. That is a 22 organic fruits and vegetables. It's all organic powder that you can certainly use as well. And all of that's going to give you back the vitamins and minerals into your body. So it's going to add a little bit more life to your body. And that will then hopefully start to boost your health overall. I think then when you start to run your lab test, you're going to figure out what exactly is going on. Like, why the brain fog? Why the stomach issues? Why the gas? Why the bloating? There's something going on. And so again, if I had to add one more for right now, of course, I would do the hair tissue mineral analysis, organic acids test. And if I could choose one more, even before a food sensitivity test, I would actually run a stool test just to make sure that there's no parasites or anything like that in there. But again, my first 2 for you are the hair tissue mineral analysis and the organic acids test. Great question. There are no silly questions on the Cabral House Call. I appreciate that question, Jody. And best of luck to you. Hope you have a very happy and healthy pregnancy, a very happy and healthy birth. And congratulations on the new upcoming addition to your family. So appreciate each and every one of your listens. Thank you so much for tuning in. And be sure to come back tomorrow where we have part 2 of the Cabral House Calls. Did you know that the body really only becomes sick or imbalanced in only 2 ways? Over time, you become deficient in vital nutrients, and you also accumulate toxins internally and from the environment. As those nutrients diminish and you increase your total toxic load, your body then begins to show the first signs of dis-ease. It's actually quite predictable, and the good news is that if we know how you began to fill up that proverbial rain barrel, we also know how to empty it to begin the healing process. I was fortunate enough to learn this ancient healing process from my mentor after suffering from debilitating diseases for close to a decade. It was only when I began to implement these techniques did I finally overcome my illnesses and go on to live a life of energy and vitality that I now enjoy. I'd like to share with you now what I discovered after traveling all over the world and how to combine the best of ancient healing wisdom with state-of-the-art science. Allow me to teach you exactly how I've been able to help over 250,000 people to empty their rain barrel and begin to transform their body and lives into what they've always hoped they could be. To get your copy of the international bestseller, The Rain Barrel Effect, simply go to stephencabral.com/rainbarrel.